solving every one, but setting them up. Are you guys good with that? So I'll pick a random one or two to solve on there. Okay, so let's start with this one. A web store. Are you on the one with the web store? A web store, music store, offers two versions of a popular song. The size of the standard version is 2.3 megabytes. The size of the high quality version is 4.8 megabytes. Yesterday, there were 1,140 downloads of the song for the total download size of 3,297 megabytes. How many downloads of the standard version were there? Okay. What are my unknowns here? How many standard version? Okay, and here's the deal is the standard version is all they're going to ask you for, but you're going to have to use the high quality in this process, agreed?
Yeah.
So which one do you want X to be? Standard version. Y is the number of high quality. Okay, take a second. See if you can write the two equations. Who's got one for me? Jackson?
2.3x plus 4.8y equals 3,000.
Thoughts? Agreed. 2.3 megabytes times every standard version and 4.5 or 4.8 megabytes times every high quality gives you your total megabytes. Nicely done. Who's got my second equation? Thatcher?
X plus y equals 1,140.
Okay, so the number of standard plus the number of high quality gave us a total of 1,140 songs? Yes, good job. Okay, with that size in there, it gives you your total megabytes. Nicely done. All right, here's the curveball for your day. Two factory plants are making TV panels. Yesterday, plant A produced 3,000 fewer panels than plant B did. 2% of the panels from plant A and 5% of the panels from plant B were defective. How many panels did plant A produce if the two plants together produced 500 defective panels? You guys totally know what you're doing here, right?
No.
Maddox?
Why did you put TWO in the top?
Because I copied it right off of Alex. Do you know why? You shouldn't, in the language in ELA, you shouldn't start a sentence with a digit. So that's why they spell out 2. Well, 2 is also a percent. But you shouldn't, yeah, it's 2%. Like you shouldn't start with the actual number 2. That's why they spell it out. So they're following like ELA rules. Yeah, this like literally pulled it off Alex. Okay, so what are two things we don't know here? Very good. So X is going to be the number of panels produced at plant A, and Y is going to be the number of panels produced at plant B. Let's go sentence by sentence here. Plant A produced 3,000 fewer panels than plant B. Who produced more? Plant B, right? So when I write my sentences, I always go, who produced more? Plant B, which is Y. And how many did they produce? 3,000 fewer than plant A. No,
Maybe that's a one.
plant A produced 3,000 fewer than plant B.
So that B is more.
Plant B is more. Is this what I don't want Y here then, do I?
You want X.
I want X. Plant A produced 3,000 fewer than B. How do I show 3,000 fewer than B? Alyssa? Correct or incorrect? Correct. Fewer means less than, right? Fewer is like a less than phrase. So plant A made more. Everybody agree with that? Plant A made more. Okay. Now we go to our next sentence. 2% of the panels from plant A, 5% of the panels from plant B were defective. How many total were defective? How many total panels were defective? 500. Now, can we use percentages in our equations? No. What do I need to write them as? Decimals. 2% as a decimal is? Very good. And 5% is? Okay. If you have the 0 out in front, that's totally fine. You don't have to. Just don't lose your decimal. What does the word of mean in math? Times. So I need to take 2% times A plus 5% times B for a total of 500. Everybody follow where that comes from. Okay? When they're giving us these percentages, they're talking about defective panels. Well, here they tell us the total defective. So this is defective at A, defective at B, total defective. Would you use elimination or substitution on this? I would absolutely use substitution because X is already by itself, and I'm going to plug it in here. If you got a decimal on this, would that make sense? No, because what is X standing for? An item, right? The number of panels. Yesterday we talked about if it's pounds, it could be a decimal. But it's like talking about TVs, okay? You can't produce a half defective panel. If half of it doesn't work, does any of it work? No. So if you end up getting a decimal, issue, question.
Oh, would you want us to like change the decimal to a whole number? Or is it fine?
I wouldn't. I would just leave it the way it is. Truthfully, I see what you're saying there. I would go 0.02x plus, 0.02 parenthesis y minus 3,000. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And work with it as a decimal. The only thing I worry about is that you lose your decimal.
Yeah.
But if you move it over, you're going to have a whole bunch of zeros to keep track of. So then it's kind of like 6 one way, half the other.
Yeah.
Okay? Questions? Flip it over. Oh, yeah. 2 trains leave the station at the same time. One's headed west and the other's headed east. The westbound train travels 16 miles an hour slower than the eastbound train. If the 2 trains are 400 miles apart after 2 hours, what is the rate of the westbound train? Do not do any rounding. We're going to solve this one all the way through. Okay? What are 2 things I don't know here?
Rate of each one.
Very good. So which one do you want X and which one do you want Y?
X is west.
Okay. What about the west train? It's the rate. Okay, make sure you say that. Rate of westbound train is our X, and Y is the rate of the eastbound train. The westbound train travels 16 miles per hour slower than the eastbound train. Thoughts? Agree or disagree? West equals the east minus the 16. Yep, that's okay. We're talking per hour. The westbound train travels, yeah, I think he's right. Agreed? Everybody good with it? Okay. If the two trains are 400 miles apart after 2 hours, let's just visualize this for a minute. They were here, train A and B, and somebody said go. One traveled west, one traveled east. After 2 hours, they said stop, and they are 400 miles apart. Okay? So if I think about this, this is the distance of the westbound. Everybody agree with that? And this is the distance of the eastbound. And together they equal 400. What was that formula yesterday I gave you? Distance equals rate times time. So if I want to figure out the distance of the westbound train, I got to take the rate of the westbound times the time of the westbound. How fast was the westbound train going? X. How long did the westbound train travel? 2. So I should really write that as, careful, don't use a Y yet, just 2x, right? Are you guys okay if I go 2x instead of x times 2? You see what I did there? So that's how far the westbound train. Now you told me I have to add my eastbound train. How fast is my eastbound train? Y. How long did the eastbound train go? 2 hours. So how would I represent that? 2y. The distance of the westbound plus the distance of the eastbound equals 400. So I'm just making a note here. It might be helpful to you. The distance of the westbound train plus the distance of the eastbound train gave me my total distance. Okay, do you want to solve this by substitution or elimination? Substitution. X minus 16 is going in for Y. See what you get. I got 108. Yes? Now, what do they ask us for here? What is the rate of the westbound? Do we even have to plug Y in? No, in this case, we chose correctly for X or whatever you want to say. We wound up with that. So you would say 108 miles per hour? 108 miles per hour. Questions? It always seems so easy when I show you how to do it, agreed?
Yeah.
And then you try to do it on your own and it doesn't quite fall out. Tell you what, start to finish, do this one on your own. See what you can come up with. Don't have to solve it, just write the equations. I shouldn't say that. Define your variables, write your equations. You don't have to solve. You don't have to solve. Now remember, you have to have two variables, Make sure you are specific about what they stand for. And 2 equations, both with x and y. Both equations have to have x and y. X stands for number of child tickets. Y stands for number of adult tickets. Who can give me one equation? Chloe? She says the number of children plus the number of adult is 128 tickets total. Agree or disagree? I would agree. Morgan, what you got for the other one?
560x plus 880y is 870.
Thoughts? One thing that's easy to point out, all your monies should probably go in the same equation. Agreed? Kind of a little hint for you. Nicely done. $5.60 times every child ticket plus $8.80 times every adult ticket gives you $876.80. Okay? Thoughts? Questions? Leave you alone.
The only one that was really hard was
I think the percentage ones are going to get you. Yeah. Okay, rock and roll. Let me help you if you need help. Yeah.